Okay, thank you very much. So I wanted to say before I started, a special thank you to all our, to everyone listening and watching us now on our various social media channels, also on eTopo News, on our partners and affiliated news channels. You're live. We're live in Bali, in Indonesia. Right now, we have time 2023, our very first summit for the World Tourism Network. My name is Juergen Steinmetz, and I'm the one who I think came up initially with the idea of putting this conversation together, and I wanted to share a little bit of the history. I've shared with many already, so many of you might know already, but it's important because it all started somehow in Bali, in Indonesia. And when I go back all the way to 2000 and 2001, under the late Minister of Tourism, Pak Adhika, at the time, and before there was an eTopo News, many of you know me about the publisher of eTopo News. eTopo News was started right here at the Alain Resort in Kuta, in Indonesia, in Bali, with the purpose of counter the US travel warnings against Indonesia at the time. We were hired by the Ministry of Culture and Tourism to increase tourism from the United States and Canada to Indonesia. And of course, Bali is the major source market for Indonesia. And at the same time, there were some political challenges in the country, in different parts of the country, that triggered many other large news organizations to say it's not safe, and triggered a lot of confusion. And we were here and say, so how can we get a message to the travel industry that everything is absolutely perfect here in Bali and in most parts of Indonesia, when other news media are saying there is unrest and it's not safe, and the US government say to be careful. So what we did, email just started at the time. We thought, okay, why not go into an email system? So we went to some of our friends here, like Pacto, for example. We went to ASEAN, many of the different organizations said, do you have a list of emails of travel professionals, specifically in North America, you can share with us? We're going to try to do something no one else has done, and we set up a Yahoo group. And this Yahoo group was designed to get the first mass mailing, really, through travel agents in the United States. So we had 14,000 people in there initially. And out of this, we called it eTopo News because we had a sponsor, an Indonesian company by the name of eTopo Hotels, that had developed a lot of the websites here in Indonesia at the time. So where's WTN coming into this early play? At the same time, what we were trying to do is get the private sector together with the public sector. We kind of understood, sometimes the private sector didn't understand the public sector and vice versa. And we started an organization called ICTP. It was called the Indonesian Council of Tourism Partners. And Indonesian Council of Tourism Partners had members mostly from Indonesia, and those that are selling Indonesia as travel. Out of later on in the years, I'm going to make this story now a lot shorter, out of this developed the International Council of Tourism Partners. I did together with our friend Professor Geoffrey Lipman, and it dealt with sustainable tourism. Again, a lot of the focus included Indonesia. And finally, out of ICTP, we went into climate change, but really at the 2020 ITB trade show in Berlin that was cancelled because COVID developed in Europe, in Italy at the time specifically, we were putting a discussion together on how the industry should react to COVID. We called it Rebuilding Travel Discussion. And invited to this, we had about 300 people registered for it, and then ITB was cancelled. And we still managed to get about close to 50 people together at the Hyatt Hotel in Berlin. And there were from 40-some countries. We did this together with PATA, the Pacific Asia Travel Association, with the Nepal Tourism Board and the African Tourism Board. Now, this discussion went on Many of you were part of it, with Zoom discussions. Everyone that was here really, I think, was almost part of it. Alexandra was one of the first one from Montenegro. And our discussions were quite meaningful and also reached the top of the people in the travel and tourism industry that are sometimes very hard to reach because everyone has time, everyone was locked up, and everyone wanted to do something. So it was the perfect place to have a discussion was Zoom. So about a year later, the end of 2020, Dr. Peter Tarlow, who was with it, came up with the idea, why don't we form this into an association? And I said, we don't really want to be an association because in part-time everyone thinks we're competing with them. What we didn't want to do, we wanted to be a network and complementary to everyone. So we decided, let's start the World Tourism Network. So when we started, we invited all those people that had participated in rebuilding .travel discussions to join us. And currently, with a few years later, we have a total indirect membership of more than 18,000 people. Out of this, they're not all paying. If they're all paying, I think we all would have come first class and have a fancy lunch here. Now, most of them are observers. They came in, it's free to join us as an observer, join our LinkedIn group, what is one of the most, I would say, realistic and successful LinkedIn group on sustainable tourism, the WTN group. It has more than 16,800 stakeholders in. Many of them are SMEs, but we also even have the head of the Saudi investment group in there. So we have a lot of people there. We have ministers. We don't allow advertising. It's a real exchange of information, and it is free. But of course, our bread and butter to make this organization grow is membership, and we currently have a little bit more than 1,200 members, but they're in 133 countries, so we're quite international. So what are our goals? Why is WTN here? I think we were able to define our goals. Since we have an equally good relationship with many of the ministers of tourism, we all know I know through our publication, or my publication, what started here in Bali in 2000, we're the oldest one in the world, and probably one of the most influential one. It is easy for us to get to the public sector many times, even though ministers change, but governments are still there. So we can reach these guys. Many times, when you deal with ministers, they're on a different level. They're on what we call a VIP level, and Alain, who was a minister himself, can probably tell us a little bit more about this in a minute. But they have more different issues to discuss and come together with. This is policy making, political issues, geopolitical issues, what is not really our part directly. But we're going to watch these guys, because what we are reaching out to is also not, before I tell you who we reach out to, not the big companies necessarily of the world. So our friends here at Marriott, we welcome for you to be a member, Marriott Hotel, but we don't want you to lead this organization. We want you to be part of the discussions, like we want the public sector part of this discussion in our membership, but really who we want to lead this organization are the SMEs, the medium and small sized businesses in the world, to give them an equal voice, a seat on the table, and where we can help with expertise from all around the world, from all sorts of lives in the industry, to come up with advice, and hopefully, if we generate income and membership, also with practical advice where we hire other experts to make certain changes in the world, to make sure everyone is treated equally, there's an equal chance for everyone to work. It is very hard, and I can see this. We just had a discussion for breakfast here this morning, for example, for a small hotel here in Bali, an independent hotel in Bali, to get to the US market. How do you get to the US market? You with your own product, without a middleman. It's impossible, because people don't trust you, they don't know you. So you gotta go to Expedia. Expedia is one of these big guys. You're going to lose a lot of money on your commission. I've seen it during the crisis here in Bali. back after the tsunami situation, after the bomb attack many, many years ago, when you saw hotel prices for medium-sized, beautiful, privately owned hotels for $30 a night, and then there's the five-star Sheraton for $35 a night. Guess where people would book? They would book the five-star Sheraton, and the small guys are going to be pushed out of business. So this is what our organization is all about, to identify these problems and find a way, how can we help our members to address these problems, how we can use our global reach through media with our media partners, including my own eTurbo News, to get the message out so we can balance the situation in the world, how people look at business. And this really, in a nutshell, is what World Travel Tourism Network is doing. How did we do it so far? We're very young, we're building, we need every one of you and all our members to contribute to it because we don't have a set concept. We cannot hire $1,000 an hour our lawyers to do this job. We have to do it ourselves, and we all are passionate. And that's what so many are here, even though we may have not had the sponsored airline tickets for everyone, they're paying their own money because they say it's important. And these are really the people who make a difference. It's not the people that come in massive amount in a conference and then leave and have a coffee and go home. It's the people who can do and work with us. And that's why I so much appreciate everyone coming here, because I know it took a personal sacrifice to do this. And these are the leaders we like to recognize. So in the way forward, we started with interest groups. We have a number of interest groups that deals with hospitality, with aviation, with advocacy for certain issues that come up, and also with comment making. So as you probably see in my own publication, we have been making comments on almost every situation in the world. We're not shy to open our mouth and say something that people do listen, because we get the feedback for it now. So that is already working. The next thing we're doing, and there is my friend Udi Astudi, who I know, she's almost like my sister from like 1999. So we trust each other and work with her for so many years. And Moody is a typical example of a passionate lady who was able to put our first, I think, really functioning chapter together here in Indonesia. And I'm so proud of you, Moody. I cannot tell you, you really have made a huge difference for our young organization. And many others are looking up to you. So in the meantime, because of Moody's effort here in Indonesia, I can say we now have also a Malaysian chapter. We are announcing with this officially to have, as of today, a chapter in Nepal. Deepak, who was the former CEO of the Nepal Tourism Board and is now our chapter president, could not get a visa for Indonesia. That's a thing to tackle with the public sector. Why is it so difficult to get a visa for a country? And these are issues I think we would love to work and cooperate and make travel a little bit smoother and easier, but he's giving everyone his regards. He would have loved to be here. But we do have our chapter. We didn't get a visa for the chapter. And I know these same type of initiatives are currently emerging in many other parts of the world. Our chapters will be announced shortly, in the Caribbean, for example. And so we're growing, and everyone is looking at Moody, what she's doing here in Indonesia. So Indonesia has been shadowed our big example, really from the beginning of my publication, of ICTP, rebuilding, and now of World Tourism Network. With this, maybe before Moody is our main person here, because she put this together, I would maybe like to give my microphone to our president, Dr. Peter Tarlow, who I also have to say talk to every single day. There's not one day we don't talk. And so we even though we haven't seen each other for a while now, first time after COVID, Peter, I think. Yes. And but we talk every day. And without Peter, WTN wouldn't be in place. And then after this, Alain Ange, who was, of course, the Minister of Tourism for Seychelles. He was the person behind the carnivals of the carnival. A gentleman who's in tourism and breathes tourism, and he has been extremely involved and helpful. He's leading our advocacy at VP for the public sector. He's been in the public sector, he understands the public sector. So he will tell you more about this. And after we do this introduction here and get your questions and input, because that's what it's all about, we can go to the next step. Peter.
Thank you, Juergen. It's truly a pleasure to be with you all this morning. You are hearing many different accents, from Ireland, Britain, to Indonesia, to Texas, to New York. So many, many different accents. I want to thank Moody and Juergen. Juergen is right, there's not a day that we don't speak, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. I feel like Moody, I've known my whole life, even though I'm just meeting her now for the first time. I'm very honored also, my son Nathaniel is here. He's a lawyer, and he's going to actually be giving us some insights tomorrow about the importance of understanding the law and international tourism. I think before I go into my section, as you have not yet met Alain, I'm going to pass the microphone first to him, let him say, with his permission, a few words, and then afterwards I will say some words. But many of you know Alain, but you're going to hear him now for the first time when it comes to WTN. So, Alain, merci.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tarlow. Good morning, everybody, and I think it is a real honor to be in Bali. Of course, we all know Bali, the center of tourism for Indonesia. And too often when you think of Indonesia, you think of Bali. You forget that there is more to Indonesia. But Bali made its mark. Bali is the name that people refer in that benchmark of tourism. But having listened to Juergen or Thomas, I feel we need to also, as we all sit here, find a way for you all to get involved in it. We're not here just to listen to all Americans sitting together and somebody from the Indian Ocean and Moody. We need to actively get you all. I mean, there's a lot of distinguished people. There are 2 doctors on the front who told me earlier, if I have a heart attack, they are here with little tablets to revive me. So we need to see how we get everybody actively involved. But I checked with our president just now, and I like to often break the mold, go beyond what I'm entitled to do. And Dr. Tarlow told me, yes, go ahead. I said, clearing with Moody, and he says, no, I am the chairman, I'm the president, so go ahead and do it. So I'd like to, with your permission, and I'm sure Moody, you will never fight with the president, because in Africa they kill you to do it. So you're not allowed to say no to a president. But let me invite the governor. Governor, come up. Governor. There's only one governor, so please come up. Come on stage. Come and stand right here. I mean, we need to, it's not every day we meet a governor. I mean, where I come from Seychelles, we're a British colony, and to respect Mr. Lipman, when we had a governor, they had long hats with plumes on top, and they wore white clothes, and then you realize that this was the governor. But today we are in Bali, and it's the custom of Bali that the governor of the day is here with us and will respect you. But for us to say thank you to you, I'm from a very small island. Bali is an island. And today or tomorrow, when I take the floor, I will speak about the importance of small islands in tourism. And if something that Seychelles does well, and Bali does well, is tourism in small islands. And how do we get the small people, they are not big businesses, they are all small people, that rally together to make it work. But as I have a governor here, and I know Thomas told me this morning in a message, not to do it, but the chairman said do it. So we will, today's a big day for me. Big day because coming from Lading that has 1,500 people, that's where I was born. And you find yourself touching the world at large because of your work. And my work has only been tourism, apart from politics. It's only been in tourism. I breathe tourism, I live tourism, I smell tourism, and I believe in tourism. So somebody in Indonesia with somebody in the Indian Ocean region, from Réunion Island, decided to take a chunk from my own autobiography and turn it into a biography of my work in tourism. And I think there is no better place and no better time for me to give a copy to the government and also to the three people that represent WTN. Different groups, a governor, a state of Indonesia, and the representative of Bali. But then the heads of a tourism organization. And I like, Mr. Khan, you bring me 4 books. 4 books. And I like to take that opportunity. It was not done by me, but it's done by somebody else. But today, as we make it known to the world that this book has been launched, I want to offer you, Governor, the first copy. And it is a marking time. And I'm sure after today, if you need somebody to do one for you, call Mr. Canis. You can have the life of the governor of Bali. Thank you very much. Thank you. But I'll also give one to the president of the organization, Dr. Tarlow.
Thank you.
Moody, the head of the Bali chapter, Indonesia.
Thank you so much.
And Juergen, my good friend.
Thank you.
In there you will find a lot of writings about Juergen, what he did, and how he pushed me.
Let me read this.
But I'd also like to get Geoffrey to come and read me one. And I'd like to give a copy to Geoffrey. Geoffrey has been, for those that don't know Geoffrey, I'm sure everybody knows Geoffrey, but in case somebody doesn't know the new one, Geoffrey has been the vice chairman or the deputy secretary general of the World Tourism Organization before he embarked on a larger scope in life. My good friend, your help has been tremendous. Thank you very much. So with this issue, but you can sit here. You're the governor. I mean, you know. I mean, how can I be on top and you down there? It doesn't make. Governors are governors. They take charge of everything. But world travel, the World Tourism Network, is more than just us. It's much more than that. It is actually you. It is actually the small businesses. It is actually the world of tourism that comes together. And I think this is why I made the effort to land here last night, very late, to my room at 1:30. It is important that we all meet. Zoom meetings are good, but face-to-face meetings. We judge each other. We meet each other. And then we appreciate each other. I've discussed with Moody often. Zoom, different ways of talking to each other. And then, of course, messages to WhatsApp. So this morning I met Moody. And she put me in a better mood immediately. I mean, Moody is good at changing your mood. Because when you meet Moody, you realize that tourism is a people's organization. And people's organization, we need to meet people. And I think this is why this meeting can really be important, because we are meeting people. I would say, when I give the mic back to the president, let us make the most of this meeting. Let us give an opportunity for each one of us to succeed in our own way. We all have different aspirations. We all have different needs and wishes and wants. But for us to make it work, let us find out your wish, and it fits into what Moody is proposing for Indonesia and in Bali. And then together, we will have a tsunami that will not destroy Indonesia, but that will create the wealth for Indonesia and each one of us. Have a good meeting, have a good day with us.
Thank you, Minister Alain, Your Honorable Governor, Udi, Juergen. I want to thank all of you, everyone who's officially here and those who are not here, to be with us this morning. This was meant to be a small meeting, not a large meeting, so that we could get to know each other. And I think, for example, the interaction now between Alain and Geoffrey was typical of what we wanted to do, to create the experience where we have the time to talk to each other, to know each other, and to find out what we are. And that's really what small meetings, that's what an SME is all about. It's not meant to be just a number. It's meant to be a human being. And all too often in tourism, we become numbers instead of people. And this organization, WTN, is dedicated to making each one of us the beauty and the individual of someone made specifically in the image of God. That makes it very special. Now, SMEs cannot survive if they do not work with governments and if they do not work with the general population. We saw that in examples today. Some of the people could not get here because they could not get visas. One of the things we need to do is to work to make the visa process more simple. I was advised to try to get an electronic visa. After almost 2 hours, I gave up. And I met somebody on the plane who said, yes, they did succeed, but it took 3.5 hours of playing with the website in order to get an electronic visa. We can't accept that. Maybe the big guys can accept it, but small and medium enterprises need us to make the world efficient and simple so that people can actually get here. Because if they can't get here, then we will lose the business that we need. That's what WTN is all about. It's looking at the problems in each region and trying to make it. Now, I've never been to Indonesia before. I certainly have never been to Bali. But my son has spent a good deal of time here. And he kept telling me, maybe you'll get a chance to come to Indonesia. The people are wonderful. You'll feel the warmth. You'll feel the caring. And I must say, in the little time that I've been here, that's definitely something that I felt. That's something that you cannot quantify, but it's something that touches the heart. Our organization, WTN, is about linking hearts, making people understand each other. And our work on the next 2 days is how do we create a world in which there's more peaceful, more loving, more caring, making a world that's going beyond simply pay your money and come. It's about taking away memories. I think Alain, you spoke about that. We are in the business of selling beautiful memories. We're not experiences. The experience is nothing more than a way to get to a memory. When we leave a place, that's when the memory first begins. They can be good memories, or they can be terrible memories. WTN is dedicated to making good memories. That means we have to make sure that the environment is beautiful, that we have clean water, clean air, that it's safe, that people, when they work with whomever, be it the police officer or be it the person at the front desk, is greeted with a smile and a sense of love and caring. We have been working for the last 3 years diligently to try to create ways that we can unite the world. Tourism is nothing more than a methodology to unite the world. Each one of us has our own particular story. Each one of us has our own individual history. Today is a very special day in my culture, in the Jewish world, because we represent the 40 years of wandering in the desert. We could either be in a world of wandering, or we could be in a world where we get to our promised land. WTN is all about getting to that promised land. WTN is all about helping the small guy and the middle guy find a way to make his or her mark in a world that is often too big and too overwhelming. We're going to have many challenges in the future. We have, unfortunately, wars in the world. Unfortunately, we face some economic crises. Unfortunately, we have a world in which the economies are falling apart and the ecologies are falling apart. In order for the small guy to succeed, he cannot change the world alone. But when we join hand in hand together, then we become a force for good. And that's what WTN is all about. Joining hands, creating a world in which we go from the desert to a promised land, from emptiness to a world filled with goodness. And if we can do that, then these 2 days are truly wonderful days. They're days when we can make the world just a little bit better, a little bit safer, a little bit happier. And by doing so, tourism becomes a bright star in the constellation which we call hope.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. Moody wants to hear. And since we got Geoffrey here, Geoffrey and I, as I said, we started ICTP after Indonesia. We also go way back. And to a little bit background, Geoffrey, he was the first CEO of the World Travel and Tourism Council, an organization that deals with 100 or 200 most largest companies in the world. So he has that part of experience. He was also a Deputy Secretary General for the UNWTO, the World Tourism Organization, the UN organization that deals with governments and tourism. And he's now passionate and will have actually a big announcement here at our event and another session about climate change and environmental issue. That's really his passion now. And yes, he also has been essential with to help WTN despite all his other commitments with SunX in Malta. And I'm very glad you're here, Geoffrey.
Thank you, Thomas, Moody, Peter, Governor, Alain. I really want to talk about climate change, but he won't let me do it now. And the program has changed more than the climate. So I really don't know whether I'm going to get to speak about climate change. And if I do, I'm afraid I'm not going to make you as happy as my colleagues have made you. Because if you remember anything about what I say today, it's that much as I love my friends up here, and it's great to come and meet them, I don't think tourism is going to make the difference in our world that Alain believes, or Peter believes, or Thomas believes. I think things are changing so much around us, and things which are completely beyond our control, that the big question for tourism in the future is going to be, in a totally different world, how can we survive? How can we ensure, and it won't be about getting visas, it'll be about what happens if it gets so hot that people don't actually want to come to a country that they came to before because they came for the heat. Or it's so cold because they came because they could ski but there's no snow. So I'm afraid I'm not being such a helpful person to your pleasant introduction, Alain. And I'm sure you're regretting that you asked me to come up on this stage. But I would be not being true to myself if I did not tell you the issues that concern me. And what I think is great about my good friend Thomas is that he gets the messages out. And he does it spontaneously, as you did with your speech this morning. I know that you had about 4 seconds of preparation. And he does it in an enormously friendly and positive way. And I came here today because Thomas said, why don't we meet in Indonesia in a few months' time? And I said, that's a good idea. And he said, Moody will be there. And I heard a lot about Moody, but we never actually met. And I thought, well, there isn't a better place to go to than Bali. And if he does let me talk at all today, I'm going to talk about how Bali can be an inspiration for small islands, Alain, and for the world's poorest countries to actually change to deal with the crisis which is here and which can only get worse. And where tourism is a big player, I'm afraid, Alain, we cannot declare war on Russia, much as it would be a good thing to do. I'm afraid we can't do that. What we can do is prepare for the war that we are going to face, which is the changing climate. So I'm sorry to spoil your party, but as I wasn't expecting to speak, I didn't prepare my nice speech.
No, that's what I love about Geoffrey, you know. So now to the most humble person in this room, Ms. Moody Asturi.
Thank you, Thomas. So I have to repeat again, thank you to Dr. Peter Tarlow, Mr. San and Ange, Mali, and Prof. Geoffrey Lipman. We are so honored to have everyone here in the room with all the huge knowledge and experience. We would like to learn from them. They have applied to the highest rank of tourism globally, and we would like to learn from every one of them here and the panelists that is also attending this event. I just would like to also highlight one thing that Thomas was also saying. Mr. Juergen, Steinmetz, saying about trust. So I think trust is the most important core values to engage any collaboration and partnership. And I'm very much appreciated to have this WTN network to facilitate tourism industry, especially the small medium enterprises segment, to sort of like working together, whether with the government or the government enterprises that facilitate that in not only globally but also through the chapter. So I think that is, I just don't want to prolong my speech. I just would like to humbly expecting that we can collaborate because this is the first meeting that we are having. But actually, of course, the end game is to have some collaboration and partnership. And we have signing MOUs today in the afternoon in regards to GTRC, and then launching Mr. Geoffrey Lipman friendly club. Yeah, I think Mr. Geoffrey Lipman, Prof. Geoffrey Lipman will explain about the climate-friendly travel club. And we're going to also signing an MOU for healthcare tourism. This is something new for Indonesia, but I think we're going to have new MOU together within the stakeholders of tourism and healthcare industry to be together with two main objectives in the MOU. One is how can we sort of like having joint campaign promotions to the market. And number two is how do we have reciprocal investment opportunity between the project owner and industry of tourism and healthcare industry and healthcare players. So I think we can start. Thomas, I will leave it with you to explain what is the next.
Yes. Thank you very much. And really, all the sessions we have during this event, we always have time in between to interact. We're a very small audience here, so it's not like it would disturb. So anyone who has anything to add to it or has any ideas, how any presentation should be responded to, you're more than welcome to come in. And that's actually my question to you. We give you a little bit of a background on World Tourism Network, who we are, what we do, what we're looking for, obviously, is engagement. We're looking for people that take ownership. So anyone who has a presentation, it's not only about this presentation. We would really welcome for you to stay engaged with us. And whatever is part of your presentation is something you take leadership with, and we can move as an interest group throughout our organization and chapters. I also forgot, I just got a message here. People are watching us on eTurbo News. Thank you for that. And yes, I wanted to recognize also our chair, Mr. Ali in Bangladesh. He also has been really going out of his way, organizing events in Dhaka, Bangladesh, all year around, and it's also been a great chapter. And we're really happy to have our active team in Bangladesh, and thank you for this. Thank you also for everyone for watching us. Even though you're silent in the background, I know you're quite a bit more active than us here, and so we invite everyone to join. Anyone also listening to us on our virtual platform who is not yet a member, simply go to WTN.travel and click on join. It's not the money, it's really not expensive, they're free avenues to do this, but we want you to stay engaged. And with this, I wanted to just really kick things back to the audience here and see. Yeah, sure.
Before we turn it over to the audience, just a few quick words. This was meant to be a small meeting. Therefore, try to get to know everybody here. If there are people you don't know, don't be afraid to go up and say hi. If you notice all morning, I've been doing that thing. Hi, I'm Peter Tarlow. It's good to meet you. Where are you from? What do you do? What part of the tourism industry are you in? That's an exchange cards. That's the way we keep in touch afterwards. There are great ways to keep in touch on a large scale, through YouTube or news, through when we have Zoom meetings, but individually meeting together is really important. And you know what? When you write to somebody on email, to the best of my knowledge, that will not impact the climate. So don't worry, Geoffrey, about that. I think we're safe. Okay, minimally impacts. Okay. I don't want to get into it. But please, and certainly a smile impacts the climate only for the positive. So Moody, you know, I love her name because her name is Moody. I translate it as she puts you in a good mood. So whenever you think of Moody, think of good mood, and smile. And smiles cost nothing. So this is the day to really today and tomorrow, to get to know people, to ask questions, to try to find something new that you didn't know before. And if you can take just one thing away, then that is already a very special emotion. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Juergen, or people just would like to ask questions. This is our time to have a little interactive discussion. So does anybody have a question? Yes, sir.
I think as we get into the general group of people getting their 2 cents worth, it's important. Everybody is very important to do that. We need to liberate the governor to go back to his seat. Otherwise, he'll start asking him questions about taxes. And we don't really want that here today. So we need to ensure that the questions are to these 4 people there, not to the governor or me. It's to them that we need to ask the question. So, but before we allow that, we will take. So, excellent. So the governor, give him a round of applause. I mean, it's a people's government.
kesempatan ini saya tetap memakai bahasa Indonesia, nanti ada yang translate. Terima kasih kami sebagai juga pembicara di sini ya, dalam kesempatan ini menyampaikan kegiatan pariwisata dihubungkan dengan ekonomi kreatif itu sangat berat sekali.
I would like to speak about how the correlation with economic creative and tourism. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak here.
Ya. Inilah yang perlu kita kolaborasikan ya, antara pariwisata dan ekonomi kreatif ya. Karena kita di pemerintahan juga dalam kelembagaan itu terdapat lembaga-lembaga yang menggerakkan daripada ekonomi kreatif.
Yeah, this is what we need to collaborate between the economic creative and tourism, because actually the one in the government is the ruler, not the one who makes the rules.
Ya. Dunia pariwisata seperti masa COVID kemarin, ya, masa COVID kemarin juga mematikan terkait dengan ekonomi kreatif.
During the pandemic, that economic creative also in correlation with economic creative, which is actually stagnant, is not moving anywhere.
Ya, termasuk di dalamnya, ya, pendapatan pemerintah daerah dari pariwisata itu sangat berkepentingan, sangat didukung oleh pendapatan di bidang pariwisata. Nah, jadi oleh sebab itu pariwisata ini harus kita pelihara. Ya.
We need to actually maintain tourism is keep going, because we learned from the pandemic. When the pandemic is happened, that it's really the income for the government from the tax, it's really very low, and that's because the government cannot support the activities.
Pemerintah akan bisa melaksanakan kegiatan dan menjalankan operasionalnya apabila tidak ada dunia pariwisata, khususnya di Bali dan di Bandung, tidak akan bisa berjalan.
Without tourism, especially in Bandung area, this regency in Bali, we just cannot move, because Bali is a hub of tourism for Indonesia, and most of us will live here depending on tourism.
Ya, jadi dengan demikian pariwisata di Bali, pariwisata di Bandung harus kita pelihara dengan berkolaborasi dengan stakeholder yang ada.
That's why we need to collaborate with the stakeholders, everyone involved, to maintain and to make sure that the tourism in Bali and Bandung is running smoothly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Can you translate this for the governor?
Bapak, saya izin nanti menerjemahkan.
This is not my first time in Bali,
Ini bukan pertama kalinya saya di Bali.
and I know you have a beautiful country, you have a beautiful product, and you have a wonderful tourism community here.
Saya tahu bahwa di Bali itu merupakan tempat-tempat yang indah dan juga community, orang-orang masyarakatnya yang luar biasa.
But you have given me the opportunity to give you a warning.
Tetapi
And I don't mean to spoil a nice party.
ya sedikit saja peringatan.
Climate change will also affect Bali. And it is here and it is going to get worse.
Ya, pergantian iklim musim akan juga berpengaruh di Bali.
So, if you want to achieve a growing tourism in Bali, you need a plan B.
Ya. Jadi kita memerlukan plan B atau rencana-rencana yang lain di luar pariwisata.
In the audience today, we have at Sunex a partner in ecotourism Bali. Stand up ecotourism Bali, Rami.
Ya, itu kami dari ekotourism, ya, pariwisata eko, ya, yang ada di sini.
Working with ecotourism Bali, we will help you make a plan B.
Ya, dengan ekotourism Bali kita bisa buat sesuatu.
And it will be a Balinese plan B, and it will be based on tree karana.
Ya,
So you can see, there's a lot more coming up, and we have the right people here. Just please stay tuned. Also, we have a surprise tonight. Besides our Heroes Award, we have a famous singer from Australia here. We're not going to give you any details because the person who has all the details is sitting next to me, and he will fill you in when it's time to fill everyone in. But it's going to be a packed program. Yes, Woody.
sorry, ya, Pak Made, mungkin bisa diceritakan sedikit aja. Trihita karana itu kan, it's God, it's environment, and it's people, ya. Just these three things.
Oke. Terima kasih, Bu.
Ya.
Baik, terima kasih. Ya, saya sedikit, ya, pengetahuan saya tidak banyak tentang Trihita karana, ya. Trihita karana itu 3 penyebab keharmonisan hidup manusia.
I just wanted to share a little bit about Trihita karana. Trihita karana is 3 elements that to make the people living in harmony.
Ya. Bagaimana hubungan manusia, ya, manusia dengan Tuhan, ya, manusia dengan Tuhan itu yang pertama.
The first one is your relation with your Creator.
Yang kedua adalah bagaimana hubungan kita dengan sesama manusia.
The second one is our relation within us.
Ya, dan yang ketiga bagaimana hubungan manusia dengan alam sekitarnya.
And the third is how our relation with the environment.
Ya, satu dengan lain itu adalah ada hubungan sebab akibat.
1, 2, and 3 is connected.
Bagaimana kita bisa memelihara alam, ya, memelihara lingkungan tanpa kita akan peduli dengan lingkungan, ya, itu adalah juga ulah manusia.
We really have to take care of our relation, especially with the environment.
Ya, alam akan bagus, alam akan bersahabat dengan manusia apabila alam itu dipelihara dengan baik.
Nature will really be friendly with us as long as we take care of the nature.
Ya, jadi 3 hal itu merupakan elemen yang sangat fundamental yang diterapkan oleh masyarakat Bali.
So those 3 elements is actually become the Balinese philosophy of the day of life.
Nah, itu sebagian sekelumit saya bisa jelaskan. Terima kasih.
Does anybody in the audience have a question that they would like to ask? If not, you've been listening to us for a long time. So I think it's good. If maybe somebody here would like to ask a question about hopefully the World Tourism Network and what we do and what we hope to accomplish. And more importantly, what we can accomplish in your community, in your country, in your city. I'm overwhelmed by the number of questions here.
Doctor will ask you a question.
Is there a question in the house? Once? Yes, okay, the doctor certainly must have a question.
Yes.
Yes, and I teach in medical school also, so I'm used to.
Are you a medical doctor?
No, I'm not, but I teach medical doctors about culture and how they can do diagnostics.
Wonderful. Thank you very much to the PTN. Thank you very much to Rudy and my peer, Dr. Vidya from Jakarta. I'm Dr. Jainti from Kuala Lumpur, and my husband is from Sweden, Nils Wikström. Together we started the movement of the integrated regenerative medicine. I've been practicing for the past 34 years in medicine, so I'm pretty senior. And it's the very first time actually, because I've been an organizing chairman of, I think, more than 20 international medical conferences. And this is actually the first time I'm attending a tourism conference. And I think this is an eye-opener because we need to integrate. And it's part of our ecosystem. Like, I have lots of questions. Sounds quite a bit off guard. All I know that for now is that we need each other. We truly need each other. And it's nothing after the pandemic to meet in person. I know that this goes against climate change, where we have to fly from every corner of the world to meet. But it makes a difference. Because it's the warmth and the sincerity. You cannot get this over this way. I have lots of questions. I'll save it for later. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I'd like to say to you that I'm actually for climate change, but a different type of climate. And that is that we need to change the business climate, the human climate, and working together, the climate of cooperation. And one of the important areas of climate change, in my concept, which is positive climate change, is the interaction between medicine and tourism. First of all, if the location is not healthy, it cannot succeed at all in the world of tourism. Secondly, when we are visiting, we often don't know where do we find a doctor. What is the water safe? What do we do if we get sick? These are areas that is essential for the medical world and the tourism world to get together. Thirdly, there's a whole world of what's called medical tourism. And medical tourism is a very important area. I work in medical tourism in Mexico. And many of the people who come to Mexico come specifically for medical help. And again, that means that we have to change our climate in the way we understand doctors. They are not, yes, they are healers, but they're also part of economic development. And without good medicine, you cannot have good tourism. So I cannot tell you how happy I am that you're here today, because you represent an undervalued part of the tourism industry. And we saw by the COVID-19 pandemic, when there is no health, there is no economy. So thank you so much for being with us today. Does someone else have a question?
And so this was definitely good feedback. And tomorrow we do have a panel where medical tourism is also part of. So stay tuned, and it's a big subject. I can tell you myself, I've experienced medical tourism when I visited the World Travel and Tourism Council conference in the Philippines, in Manila, and unfortunately came down with a flesh-eating bacteria and ended up in Makati Hospital. I've never noticed, we always, sometimes in the United States, are a little bit arrogant in thinking we have everything is the best hospital. Honestly, any place I know in Hawaii where I live, and where we have a lot of tourists, would not even come close to the service level I was experiencing myself in Manila. So medical tourism sometimes means real medical emergencies, but it also means medical opportunities. So right now, most of my doctors are back in my home country, Germany, where I haven't lived since '84, but I trust the medical world a lot better than I trusted in my current home in the United States. So we all have to learn from each other. There's not one place where medical is superior over the other place. They're different systems. And combining this with tourism, travel, and cultural experience is wonderful, because we are now a connected international global world. What makes it very different from only like 20 or 30 years ago, we would have never thought about seeing a doctor in another country. But it's not like this anymore. And even if you look at the electronic age, you can get online doctors now, and you might be, when I call in the United States and want to pay my $40 to talk to a specialist, most likely I talk to someone, again, in the Philippines or in India. Very high educated doctors that take the time and give you really good advice. So it's all becoming interconnected. So I'm glad that Bali is making an attempt to be part of this world. It's an enormous opportunity. I can't wait myself to be part and listening on the session we have tomorrow.
But Juergen, please, no more getting sick when you travel.
Thank you.
Because Juergen is a specialist in getting to know medical tourism firsthand. And it's good to talk about it, but try to stay well.
We all want to stay well, and actually medical tourism is there to make you even better, because you can prevent getting sick, what is sometimes overlooked when you're busy at home, and insurance companies tell you you cannot do the one or the other thing. So that's again where medical tourism is an opportunity. And yes, please.
If I may, because we are very much honored to hear the chairman of Bali Medical Tourism Association, Dr. Patra, and we have also Dr. Vidya Murni from Indonesia Medical Tourism Association. So we would like to hear from Dr. Patra and Dr. Vidya about this. How can we join with tourism? Thank you.
Yes, and we're coming to the end of our introduction section here, but if there's any more comments or question on medical tourism or anything else, please, absolutely.
This gentleman down here.
Yes.
Sir?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Vidya from Jakarta. I'm a part of Asosiasi Wisata Medis Indonesia. We know that at the moment, Bali is not known well for the health tourism destination, but we are sure that who come from to Bali is not they are only from the sickness person. Some of them need to be wellness. So some healthy people want to be healthier, and some sick person maybe have to rejuvenate, and maybe they not need the medication or the high-end medical treatment, but they need integrative functional medicine doctor. So we are able to do this kind of services, and we are ready to make healthy people getting healthier to Bali. So welcome to Bali and welcome to Indonesia. We are ready to make you to become wellness people.
Thank you. This gentleman here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Paul Inchevsky. I'm a real estate developer and investor. And just as this is an introduction section, so I was going to say that you haven't mentioned almost a very important part of this, and probably there's going to be more time during these days. As in the modern world, we see now not only climate changes, not only like these online interactions, but all those things led to more people now becoming not a tourist in resort destinations, but they become kind of citizens or like residents. And during the last several years, you can see many people, they migrated from the cities to places like Bali to stay and live here. And this is a very interesting thing, how it's going to impact tourism industry and development industry in such places, because it's a different story. Now you not only need accommodation places, but you also need some other things like from medicine to education, and everything become very entwined in this world. I just want to mention this as probably as an interesting topic to discuss.
I think you mentioned something which is really key, and that is the fact that if we have development of areas without planning, that instead of making the world more beautiful, we make the world ugly. And that means that when we speak about planning and development, we have to deal with it which in a way which is valid ecologically, which is valid ethically, which is valid morally, which is valid in a way that when we develop an area, we work to make it not a blight on the world, but rather a additional beauty to the world. So thank you so much for bringing up a really essential part of tourism. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Geoffrey. I'm from Climate Friendly Travel Club. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to speak later. I just wanted to, with the gentleman, I just wanted to address that point if I may. When we talk about tourism, one thing that we often forget is that tourists are temporary residents. So when we're talking about the number of tourists in a destination, we're talking about, again, temporary residents along with permanent residents. And one of the mistakes that we've made as an industry, and I hope that our panel would agree with me on this, is that we've never really understood in most destinations what our capacity is. It's the most basic of questions. You know, if you go to Disneyland or Universal Studios in America and you speak to the head of those organizations, and I have done both, and if you ask them what is the capacity for Disneyland on any given day, they know to the very individual, they know to the very specific individual what the capacity is for their theme park in that particular case. And they know that if they go over that number, it will negatively impact the experience of the other visitors, as well as the experience of the attractions, the staff that work there, and everything else. We need to do that with our destinations, because it isn't, we can't just keep saying, come on, you know, we need more, whether it's temporary residents as tourists for a weekend or a week, or whether it's people who are staying a little bit longer. We can't just keep doing that. We need to understand, and that's my question for everybody here today, is when you're looking at your destination, what's the capacity? What's the maximum number of people that you've got? As the gentleman just pointed out before, it's not just about hotel beds, it's about the infrastructure. What's the infrastructure built for? What's the road system built for? What's the food system built for? Environmentally, what are those conditions? The trash, the garbage, what's that built for? And we need to understand that, because if we don't, we're headed for an absolute disaster further down the line. Because all of the indications from the UNWTO, World Travel and Tourism Council, and other basically macroeconomic factors that we've been looking at shows that tourism is set to potentially double in the next 20 years. Double. So again, to build that up for you, we went from zero tourism approximately 100 years ago to 1.5 billion thereabouts in 2019. And we're looking in the next 20 years potentially to double that in 20 years. It's a major, major problem, and we need to understand the capacity of our destinations a little bit clearer, I believe.
Thank you, that's really important.
And this is definitely also a point we absolutely should not forget. There should be an interest group within our organization. And I can tell you, living in Hawaii for the last 35 years, this is a big discussion. We temporarily banned all vacation rentals, and it came back a little bit after COVID. I can know the housing problem for local people who can no longer afford to pay rent, because it's easier to sell to foreign investors and they put it out on the market for visitors. So we have the largest homeless population in Hawaii of any state in the US. So there are problems associated with all of this, and many of them, at the end of the day, are not really affecting the big guys, they're affecting the small and medium-sized enterprises. So this should be a big subject. Eventually, we're too small, but when we get there, to have this part of our overall things. Okay, Geoffrey.
Yeah, this gentleman is trying to speak. This gentleman.
Sorry. Let me just quickly, before he speaks, let me just respond to my friend Thomas and my very good friend Jed. Yes, the capacity management is important. Yes. But to manage the capacity, you have to know what the destination is going to look like in the next 5 or 10 years. And that Governor, is why you need a Plan B. And a subset of Plan B, one of maybe 15 parts of a comprehensive tourism sector, is capacity management. But if you don't have roads and you don't have bridges because they've been washed away in storms, capacity management is just an academic subject.
Okay, here's the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Professor Geoffrey. We talk about Tri Jakarta. My name is Vishnu Wardana, the chairman of Tri Jakarta Foundation. Since 2000, I presented the Tri Jakarta Award for the tourism destination here in Bali, especially hotel and other destination spots. Yeah. In this moment, I want to say or to give you the best practice of the Tri Jakarta. For example, if you see the welcoming dancer today, just maybe less than 2 minutes, there are one of the representatives of the Tri Jakarta concept who follows by the family of the dancer. The oldest dancer is more than 90 years old, but he or she want to dance with their great granddaughter to dance here for the welcoming. This is a very the spiritual of the Tri Jakarta here is very connected to the family trees. The family trees. That's why in Bali, the spiritual of people here and everything and every activity is connected to the family trees. And now in the global development agenda, SDGs, I think you know SDGs, the spiritual there is the goal 16 and then 17. This is the spiritual of us. And then the environment is ecological, goal number 11 until 15, and then goal number 1 to 10 is people. So it means the relationship for the people and people. This is just a sample and then the best practice for the Tri Jakarta. Thank you very much, and I hope.
Thank you, very good. Dr. Alexander has a comment, and she would also, I would introduce her after this a little bit because you're going to be our first presenter and next speaker. But you have a question.
Yeah, actually, hello to everybody. I'm really happy to be here, and I would actually like to make a comment regarding the issue that we just raised. So we started with so many things, and then we ended up with the sustainable tourism development, I would say so. So that's a huge issue that we have to discuss here at this conference today. So I think government, and I'm coming from the government, they or we are talking about figures, about increasing number of arrivals, overnight stays, etc., but it's not all about that. So I'm not really fond of it, and I will also talk a bit later about that. So I think we have to be very careful about it, and then also there is something that we should connect with sustainability, and that's called the destination management. So how do we actually manage destination? Together with it, how do we promote it related to destination marketing? When do we market destination? At what target markets? What message are we sending? Etc. The first time when I heard somehow of the sustainability issue was when I used to live and work in Seychelles, and Mr. Alain is the one also who really supported sustainability issue in Seychelles back, I don't know, 15 years ago or whatever. Who cares about years? Okay, so Seychelles are, I think, great example of the sustainability and destination. And I would like Ms. Alain, if he doesn't mind, just to tell us a couple of words regarding sustainability at the moment. How do you practice it, and how do you do it in sports? Okay, thank you.
And so here.
Thank you very much. It's catching people off guard is not a good thing, but you see, Seychelles, like Bali, depends a lot on tourism. Bali is much bigger, we're much smaller, but we both, I'm sure Governor will realize the importance of being good custodians of what we have been blessed with. If we have something that is good, we want it to work, benefit everybody, definitely put money in the pockets of the people, but also that it is there tomorrow for your kids, and then in 2 years for your grandkids, and then it keeps stable. So sustainability, and that keyword that Mr. Brown brought up earlier, carrying capacities, is important, and tourism destinations are doing this today. And I'm sure Plan B that Geoffrey speaks about will look at carrying capacities. How do we ensure that what we have today will be there for the next generations? You see, when I was then in office, I never realized that there is an optimum number of beach chairs on the beach that is sustainable. Never realized it until we looked at Spain and realized that they had too many. So we, in one way, banned beach chairs just to be put on the beach somewhere. It has to be in front of a hotel. But I'm saying that because we became very realistic in Seychelles. Jeff knows well, he came there as World Roots to do a conference in Seychelles. We know that if tourism is to succeed, it cannot be just for today. It is not a party that we are doing, and then we all go home and we forget about this word tourism. It has to remain. But for it to remain, it has to be sustainable. So from the buildings, from your culture, from the people, does it benefit everybody? And then we are happy and satisfied. The governor says the taxes are coming in. No, it is more than that. Today in Seychelles, the biggest talking point is how many more hotels will be built. I imposed a freeze on it 10 years ago. There'll be no more big hotels, but they've unlocked the freeze for now. They have some new ones. When is the final word? No, it is enough. And I think when we can do that as a country, as a government, as a people, we know we are succeeding because we are looking at future generations and not just today. And I think when Geoffrey spoke earlier, I was touched at this idea, can we sustain tourism growth? Can we really sustain? Or are we going to get to a limit and say, we've now destroyed what we had? And I think this is the question. If you look at those that flew in last night to be here today, I landed at 10:30 Bali time. And we realized that we all come from different parts of the world. We all flew here. And each plane was full. I mean, I flew in with Emirates, it was jammed out. We must realize that there is an impact. There is a clear impact. Yes, planes are today looking at environmentally friendly planes. You are from World Roots. In the past, you will know it's a dream. It's what happened tomorrow. Have we destroyed it before? Can we really be saying to ourselves, I am guilty, having been a tourism minister. Juergen is guilty because he produces a paper that touches tourism. Geoffrey is guilty because he was the Deputy Secretary General of the World Tourism Organization. Can we really just sit and say to ourselves, yes, we are guilty, mea culpa? Or is it not enough that we say that today? but that we rally the way we are doing now to say, let us find a solution. Let us find what we should be doing as doctors would do for somebody who is sick. Or you're looking at his face and say, you are the ideal candidate for a cardiac arrest. So if we can say that, maybe this it's off topic, probably. Maybe one of the side discussion points. If we can open a discussion group that says, what do we really do? Yes, in hindsight, we will write many books about each one of us. But that is history. What is for tomorrow? Who can really bring a book to say, the world in 2040, if we keep on going down this path, if we double world tourism in 30 years, where will we be? I think these are the questions probably. I think Seychelles has done a good job for what it is. We've protected what we have. So is Bali. They've protected what they have. In different speeds, in different trajectories, in different highways. But we've all protected what we have because we still have to feed the people. The people need to be able to get something out of it. But I think maybe, Geoffrey, your mission, you pass it to me, I'll pass it to Geoffrey, should be a book that says, where are we in 2040? Where are we in 2060? Where are we in 2080? So we have an idea. If we keep on having 1 Emirates per day here, or 3 Emirates per day, and then they upgrade the Emirates to an A380, and then they bring 4 of them, can we really then drive in Bali anymore? Probably not. You need a bigger airport. You need to keep expanding, and then everything else. It's a catch-22, and it is a vicious circle. But that said, if you look at Amazon and all these high-powered people from America, because we've got 2 of them sitting here, when is enough enough? When is your bank account full enough? I think this is the question often that determines it. And this morning I had the pleasure to have breakfast with the president, with the president of the organization. And I said, America, this world leader that we have, today, and when I saw Juergen and Peter coming up on stage holding each other, it reminded me of the American president being held up to go anywhere. But the world will have to be looking. Apart from Moody and the government, that's all we are now in the 3rd age. We need to be looking in this book that Geoffrey will bring. Who replaces us? Who will have that vision without the experience we've picked up over the years to really say, yes, I'm a young man. I'm coming to take over, to replace this group here. But I have already the experience because I picked it from them. And this is the problem. You see, when we depart, somebody else arrives. But it starts from ground zero. So the mistakes are made again. And we keep the chain going of mistakes. And we don't learn to say, we need to pick all the brains, maybe freeze them and give it to a new person as it comes out. So it starts off on a good run. Otherwise, we will make the unsustainable developments instead of sustainable developments. I hope I've answered you, sir.
You have to speak louder, it's not Geoffrey.
Or scream. Not ice cream.
Okay, so don't you think that actually raising the awareness is the key issue, key point? Because at least in my country, young generations, they are not aware of what we are talking about here, or care or whatever. They are not aware of how important sustainability is, how important climate change is, and all these topics that we have. So I think that's the point. education and educating our youngsters from the kindergartens, not from the primary schools. So from my point of view, I think that's the kind of solution.
Alan, I think, I don't want to have just a cross conversation, because other people are raising their hand.
Yes.
So I know few other people have been trying to speak.
Madame is before you. She's been going for a long
Okay, just for your information, we're a little bit over time with this, but I don't want to interrupt this discussion because it's all we want. And Alexandra is the next speaker, so she cut herself off for a few minutes, and it's okay.
Thank you very much for the microphone. I'm gently trying to raise my hand, and I eventually was successful getting up here. My name is Dr. Birgit Trower. I'm from Australia, originally I'm German. And my background is actually industry. I've worked in all kinds of industry, airlines, consultancy, travel agencies, wholesale, tour guiding, I know the whole industry there. And then I got into academia at a very late age. As a curate, I started my undergraduate degree at 39 years of age, going through divorce with 2 little children. So that's a real story coming into the whole notion we're talking about. What are we looking at? What is our experience? Now, 3 key aspects were the race, sustainability, is it gender, the ecological health, we talk about health tourism, the psychological health, Peter, thank you very much, the economic health, they're all intertwined. And we are all here quite aware of the interconnection. Nothing is in isolation. And when we're looking at all of that, we are here as a think tank, we are looking at mindset shifts. And that is the beginning, I think, because we as humans, we make the decision. Of course, now nature has taken over and makes their decision. We're impacted by that. So we are on the receiving end. So where are we at? Who are we? We are here today, for the next couple of days, hopefully have these discussions. I'm very passionate about sustainability, and I'm also very passionate in all of this, which is the impact that we have on the environment. We have talked about biosphere, which is the ecologic biosphere, and the psychological biosphere. Who are we as people in relationships? How are we getting on? When we look at global war, we're fighting because of lack of resources and impact that we are really seeing around the world, including climate change. So the big agenda is sustainability, and we can elevate that into the notion of peace. And peace is interaction between peace with people, peace with the environment. And it comes back to Karana, the same principles. Are we all there? Are we all on the same page? And that's what we need to actually educate young people about. They do know, but they are fearful. They try to live life. That's why we're watching all the rising numbers of tourists. They just want to live life. We're talking about fear of missing out, FOMO, trends in society, Peter Pan syndrome, no responsibility, no accountability. That is a societal trend. Tourism is a microcosm of society, and those rays will talk about real estate development, etc. Nothing is ever in isolation. Yes, tourism is a big one. It has not received enough attention in many places, and I think that's what we're here for. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your feedback, Birgit. You're going to be on at 4:40 this afternoon. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about this subject. We can continue this discussion. I wanted to thank everyone of our founders here, and maybe we can start with our regular session. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Patra, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're the last before we go to our regular session.
So thank you very much. I'm Dr. Billy Parker, the chairman of Bali Medical Tourism Association. Thank you very much for inviting me to come to this meeting. Yeah, BMT, Bali Medical Tourism Association, is mean I start to learn about the health tourism. So we know that Bali is famous for the tourism. We have resources for the healthcare provider like hospital, clinic, and etc. And because the regulation is more completely, and I look at this, it is the right time we start to learn about the health tourism. So there are 4 focuses that our program. The first is medical tourism. It means that the sick people come to Bali. They have the treatment. And then the second is about the medical wellness tourism. Is help people come to join, and we design that there is integrated between the medical, the alternative Balinese medicine or complementary, and with the culture. So the package is not only one day, but maybe 7 until etc. And the third is about the sport tourism. And the fourth is about the health scientific tourism. So this is my focus. Maybe tomorrow I will be explaining more about our program. Thank you very much.
We're looking forward, and thank you again for everyone giving this feedback on our baby here, the World Tourism Network. And I think there's going to be a lot more to come. And we really have to get moving. We have 2 presentations before lunch, and they're both very good, so you don't want to miss them. And we're going to get into education and all of this during this event. And if okay, I wanted to, Dr. Alexander, I can never pronounce your last name, but she's such a good friend. I've actually visited her in Montenegro. She's the director of tourism in her country, and she has been with World Tourism Network even before she became the director of tourism, and essential during the COVID discussion. So we've become good friends. I've visited your country, what is another pearl of an example of tourism sustainability and so forth. So she knows what she's talking about. She represents Montenegro at the UNWTO and many other international events. And she's the only one in this capacity joining us from Europe. So you can speak not only for Montenegro, also for the other Balkan areas, and as an affiliated member of the European Union. So Europe is your territory, and she'll be joined later on by Tanya Milhacik after the next session from the School of Business and Economics in the University of Ljubljana in Slovenia, a country not too far away from Montenegro. So,
just before you cover, can we stand here and have a photo together? I think, yeah. Otherwise, you won't have anything on it here.
Okay. We do a photo and then.
Check. Maybe grab the book at the same time. Where's your?
Sorry, it should be meant that you end up.
No, then we're the one just without the book. Come on, Doctor Peter.
This is the photo. This is a publicity. This is a publicity.
Yeah.
We're going to give him the title Director of Marketing now.
You are now without the book because it should be for you and them.
Okay, without the book now. Never take a book from
yes, I can. I can. It's okay. Thank you.
1 second, there's one more there.
Also, like one more?
Now it is your time.
All right, you can buy the book on Amazon. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. And without further ado, I want to give it back to our Master of Ceremonies so she can give the floor to Alexandra. There she is. Okay, thank you very much.
So, yeah, welcome once again to our first panel discussion. Thank you very much.